In today's short, we're going to be covering creating a feedback app that is very performant. By performant, we mean quick response times. So the question that we're going to be examining today is a developer that is creating a web application must give users the ability to post comment and receive feedback in near real time. Which of the solutions offered below will meet these requirements? We have to choose between two of the options. The first one is to create an AWS AppSync schema and corresponding APIs. And then you would use DynamoDB as the data store. The second option is to create a WebSocket API in Amazon API Gateway and use AWS Lambda as the backend. And then DynamoDB would be the data store as well. C is to create an elastic beanstalk application that is backed by Amazon RDS and configure the application to allow long-lived TCP IP sockets. The fourth option, D, is to create a GraphQL endpoint on Amazon API Gateway and use DynamoDB as the data store again. And the last option is to establish WebSocket connections using CloudFront and use Lambda function as the CloudFront distribution origin. But this time you would use Aurora DB as the data store. So I'll give you a second here to see if you know the answer. If you do, that's great, but we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the keywords as well as the correct answers now. So some of the key things that we need to point out is that the question asks for feedback in near real time. So response time is the most important thing in this request. What I've done is outline some of the keywords and features and services that you would need to know in order to answer this question correctly. So you need to know about AppSync, DynamoDB. You have to understand how WebSockets work with the API Gateway. You need to know what Lambda and DynamoDB are, Elastic Beanstalk, Amazon RDS, and Aurora. So based on the available answers, A and B were the correct one out of the choices we were given. So let's take a look about why these two are our best choices. Well, I have the long-winded answer here on the next screen, but to summarize it, DynamoDB is the quickest database source that we have available in this solution. So AWS would like us to use that. That eliminates half of the questions that we had. AppSync is designed to be very easy to use and quick authentication. GraphQL is also known for its fast response times. So that makes sense of why we would choose A. And then B, using API Gateway with WebSocket. Lambda is fast as well, and it's using the flagship DynamoDB for the request that AWS wants us to use. So that's why these questions we chose out of the many ones that we had available. So let's look at the ones that weren't selected and why. So the Elastic Beanstalk option, the problem with this one is it uses Amazon RDS. RDS is great for large queries and formatting your tables, but it's not quick in response time, so it's not our best option in this solution. The other option here, using AWS Lambda with CloudFront, it uses Aurora DB, which again is not DynamoDB, so it's not our best option in this solution. So that's why these two were not chosen. The other one that does use DynamoDB as its data store is using API Gateway, which is not as quick as AppSync. And even though you could use it to solve the solution, whenever you have an AWS question, remember that AWS wants you to use their flagship products in the way that they designed them. So even if you have something that works, if it's not using it the way that they designed it, then it's not optimal. If you're not familiar with what AppSync is, it is a way to quickly create GraphQL front ends to connect with AWS resources on the back end. In this instance, you're creating an AWS front end that allows you to get and receive near real-time feedback while pushing it and reading from DynamoDB. So if you leave on the screen, there are some of the features available for GraphQL. It's very simple to use once you get up and running. For the hands-on for this short, we're actually just going to go ahead and take a look at the quick architecture for these two solutions. So the GraphQL using AppSync and DynamoDB is very simple, as you see on the left-hand side. It's a one-to-one connection and it's very easy to understand. The other solution is using API Gateway, to request a Lambda, which also connects to DynamoDB. All of these are serverless services that run very quickly. Alright, so that summarizes this lesson, short and quick and to the point. We hope you enjoy what you're seeing. We will continue to put out videos, so let us know what you're thinking in the comments below.